Good afternoon and welcome to the 16 Days of Activism, Day 7 on Women Radio WFM 91.7. The 16 Days of Activism is a specialized program where we get to raise awareness, mobilize action and call for the prevention and elimination of all forms of violence against women and girls nationwide and worldwide. This broadcast from Monday 25th November 2024 to 10th December 2024 for the next 16 days at 12:05 p.m. So do well to join the conversation by contributing or reacting to the big question. Call us on 07000 917 917 or send a text or WhatsApp message on 0703 175 6537. Today on the Day 6 of the 16 Days of Activism, we will be discussing work done so far, challenges and way forward in supporting survivors of sexual and gender-based violence. Violence against women and girls is one of the most widespread human rights violations globally. And now, according to UN Women, nearly 1 in 3 women have experienced physical or sexual violence, whether by an intimate partner or others, at least once in their lifetime. In 2023 alone, over 51,100 women were murdered by partners or family members, equating to 1 woman killed every 10 minutes. This violence, which can be physical, sexual, or emotional, has severe short and long-term effects on women's physical and mental health. The scale of this crisis underscores the urgent need for comprehensive action to prevent violence, support survivors, and ultimately end these violations. On the program today, we will be discussing the challenges and way forward in supporting survivors of sexual and gender-based violence. And to discuss this with me on the program is Abigail Hajo Adegoke, Executive Director, Aid Connect for Development Organization, Aid Code. Good afternoon to you, Abigail. Glad to have you join us.
Hello, good afternoon. So glad to join you this afternoon.
Yeah, and it's actually a new month, so I should say Happy New Month.
Yes, Happy New Month to you, Happy New Month to all of us and all the people listening.
All right, you're welcome. And I'm glad to have this conversation with you as we, mark another day on the 16 Days of Activism. Now, tell us, Abigail, as an organization that supports survivors of sexual and gender-based violence, what specific programs or services does your organization provide to help survivors rebuild their lives after experiencing sexual and gender-based violence?
Thank you once again, and good afternoon, everyone. Like you heard in my introduction, my name is Abigail Hajo Adegoke, and Executive Director, Aid Connect for Development. As an organization, we give support to survivors of sexual, gender-based violence in various ways, which I would say, number 1, we give counseling and so psychosocial support to survivors, because once they are sexually abused in one way or the other, they are traumatized, and so the first thing to do is to get counsel and the psychological support we will give to all survivors. The another aspect again is with the medical care, where we sometimes, in a case, we take them to the hospitals or even use our referrals where necessary. Another point we could have is the legal assistance. We stand in the gap for advocacy and to ensure perpetrators are persecuted accordingly. Those who are identified, there are with assistance from them, mostly on pro bonos in these cases. And we also have shelter, provision of shelter and accommodations through referrals, of course. We as an organization don't have these accommodations, but we collaborate with other organizations who have shelters, and so they are kept and moved out, because sometimes they are traumatized psychologically and emotionally because of, especially when they dwell or live in the same environment. And so we move them out to give them a new shelter, a new environment to help them psychologically. And sometimes most of these causes could also be through poverty in one way or the other. Because of lack, they try to get one thing or the other. So we give them economic empowerment programs such as vocational trainings, skill acquisition, microfinance initiatives. Skill acquisition could be making of soaps, making of liquid soaps, normal soaps, shampoos, and normal cream, Vaseline particularly, just something to earn and make a living out of it. So we empower them economically. And so many other programs we do.
All right, thank you very much, Abigail. I'm seeing that your organization does this. It really is one that impacts on these survivors. But I'd like also to look at, comprehensive care, medical, legal, and psychological support. How do you ensure that the survivors receive this through your organization?
We receive comprehensive care, like I said, mostly through referrals. And Aid Connect currently collaborates with the health sector, either primary health care, depending on the communities, because most of these cases are more in the communities. And so primary health care centers are facilities we engage with. So we mostly engage with the medical professionals for physical health care, where these girls or women will be examined. For the girls who are virgins, they examine the vaginal tears, mostly comes with tears, and then where they need to be sutured, they will be sutured, and then conduct tests where we check if there are STIs, sexual transmitted infections and diseases. We also check if pregnancies or HIVs and all of that. Then we also have support from the internal counselors. We have in the organization, we engage the services of other trained counselors and psychologists for emotional support from other organizations. Being the fight against the same menace is collective. So like I said, we work together. We also consult other lawyers and paralegals for legal assistance where we anticipate or where necessary. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much, Abigail. If you've just tuned in, this is Women Radio this is the 16 Days of Activism, Day 7 on your Women Radio 91.7. And the 16 Days of Activism is a specialized program where we get to raise awareness, mobilize action, and call for the prevention and elimination of all forms of violence against women and girls worldwide. And today we have joining us Abigail Hado Adegoke. She is actually the Executive Director, Aid Connect for Development Organization. Now back to you, Abigail. How do you work to address societal stigmas and cultural barriers that often discourage survivors from seeking help?
That's quite tough. Addressing societal stigmas, you see, and cultural barriers. A lot of women, especially in the Northeast, in these communities, mostly don't even know they're sexually abused or they're violated in one way or the other because of culture and tradition. As a matter of fact, let me give you an example. We've come across women who believe it is not normal for their men or husbands not to beat them. And so if he demands or any man demands sexual desire on them, to them it's part of the culture and tradition. So yes, first of all, by engaging community leaders, mostly these community leaders stand as our gatekeepers and influencers to promote positive attitudes and, of course, good behaviors, thereby encouraging bad behaviors in that same community. We could also say we conduct awareness, raising campaigns. We've had roadworks, rallies, try to, when you meet the gatekeepers and community leaders,
you can successfully have roadworks within the community, sensitize, call for town hall meetings, and at their level where you need to sensitize them. Then we also have we also provide training. We build a capacity to understand what this is and what to go and how to avoid and how to go about it as well. We organize programs like that. And then we also provide services. For example, the channels of reporting is also very important because of the society and the norm, a lot of people will not want their families in a place where a husband sexually abuses his daughter or young daughter. The mother would want to cover up because to her, quote and unquote, is a shame to the society. So the community shouldn't know what is involved. So these are some of the issues. So when we build their capacity and sensitize them on the impact and the implications of stuff like this, we are also creating that barrier and cultural norms, like I said.
All right, thank you very much, Abigail.
So we're also doing as well, let me add by saying that, of course, there must be partnership, you know. There must be partnership. We make them understand we are not only training them, we are strengthening and enhancing the partnership with these local organizations as well, networks. It could be the security, it could be law enforcement agencies. So I was adding to say we strengthen or we encourage partnership with local organization and networks. Network with law enforcement agencies where we connect, like the local police around there or the uniform guys, whom reports can be made almost immediately for immediate response.
All right, thank you very much, Abigail. I know that with all of these supports that you're giving to the survivors of sexual and gender-based violence, there often would be challenges that you faced in your efforts to support them. Can you tell us about these and how other stakeholders can help to address these challenges?
Yeah, there are lots of challenges actually.
And these challenges could be on my side. I just made an example where you could see a case of a girl being sexually abused or a woman being domestically violated, but we don't have consent. Until they give us a consent, we cannot do anything. So that is also challenging. Or sometimes when you take up a case and involve the legal paralegals to follow up on the cases, at the middle of the situation, maybe going to court or taking actions against them, these women tend to withdraw. And the truth is, you can't do anything without.
And these are some of the challenges we have, as a matter of fact. So we suffer a lot. That is one. On the other side, could be also the terrain, accessibility. They can't report such cases, and so the people are, let's say, in these communities where we have a barricade of either small river or no local transportation, eventually have issues with coming out to report because no local organization would want to render help because of the accessibility. So accessibility is also one aspect. Then we also have communication. They are abused or in one way or the other suffer the menace of SGBE, but don't have channels of communication. They are not even aware how to go or which numbers to share or to go with. So when organizations call, we try to get communities that have easy accessibility, that are acceptable, and then good communication by networks of Nigerian networks and all. So these are some of the challenges we have.
If you've just joined in, this is the 16 Days of Activism. It's day 7 on your Women Radio 91.7. The 16 Days of Activism is a specialized program where we get to raise awareness, mobilize action, and call for the prevention and elimination of all forms of violence against women and girls worldwide. And this the 16 Days of Activism is broadcast from Mondays 25th November 2024, and it will run all the way till 10th of December 2024, and we get to engage conversations with organizations, major stakeholders, as we see how we could get to have a society, a community, a nation that is safe for young women, and also how we can encourage and support survivors of sexual and gender-based violence. All right, Abigail joins us yet again. Hi, Abigail. May I know if you can hear me?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. May I know if you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Sorry, I think I got kicked out by network.
Okay, that's fine. But we are glad to have you join us back. So, still reviewing this conversation, what role does your organization play in advocating for stronger policies and laws to better protect survivors and prevent sexual and gender-based violence?
Sorry, come again. You're breaking.
Oh, okay. Let me take that question again. So for your organization, what role does it play in advocating for stronger policies and laws to protect survivors and prevent sexual and gender-based violence?
As an organization, we are part of the civil service organization in Bauchi State, particularly where we promote laws and policies. Currently, the VAMP laws that was introduced, my organization also supported that, and then the making of policies in Bauchi State, because of our voice in Bauchi State, we are heard and listened to. So every policy, virtually almost every policy concerning SGBVs, we are being introduced, and so we give our maximum support. Currently, Bauchi State is marking 16-day activism like never before, and Women Affairs, Ministry of Women Affairs invited us, and It Connect actually play a very vital role where we coordinate other CSOs and amplifying our voice as well.
Really beautiful. Thank you so much, Abigail. So if you've just tuned in, this is still your Women Radio 91.7, Nigeria's first and only radio station for women and their families. And you just heard the voice of Abigail Hardo Adegoke. She is the Executive Director, Aid Connect for Development organization, and all through it's part of the conversations we're having today are part of the 16 days of activism, day 7 on your Women Radio 91.7. All of these are tailored towards rising above sexual and gender-based violence, because truly there is no excuse, and we need to unite to end violence against women and also against girls. Now, finally, Abigail, how do you think stakeholders such as the society, government, and other organizations can come together to support survivors of sexual and gender-based violence?
I think stakeholders and society, or even government, can come together to support survivors. They could, first of all, bringing the perpetrators to the good books of the law. That is one, so that when any man or any violator knows that there's a law, which we are currently amplifying, would desist from that. And secondly, for those that are survivors, we could get good accommodations, support them with accommodations, build their capacities, support them emotionally and psychologically through trainings, and getting the expert of psychosocial support, and so many other things, including putting the policies and laws together to ensure that no woman, no girl is violated in any form.
All right. Thank you very much, Abigail. Thank you so much for joining us today on our edition of marking the 16 days of activism. Rising above sexual and gender-based violence often requires collective action unwavering commitment and the empowerment of survivors to reclaim their lives. As we mark the 16 days of activism, let us amplify voices, let us strengthen support systems, and also foster a culture of zero tolerance for gender-based violence. Together, we can build a safer, more equitable world where everyone can thrive free from violence. Special thanks to my guests, Abigail Hardo Adegoke, Executive Director, Aid Connect for Development Organization, AIDCO. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, and everyone, thank you for listening. I hope we will stay sexual, gender-based violence-free society. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thanks to the program's team of Women Radio for putting this together, and to the executive producer, Tong Okewale Shania. I am Miracle Philip. Good afternoon.
WFM 91.7.